been a minute. I was looking at the last time I did a live stream and it was March 19th. So the spring and early summer has completely flown by, but I am here because I am wanting to share a message that not only has kept coming up in the last 8 weeks, but is on the top of my brain as I prepare to go to St. Louis for the MPI St. Louis chapter EduCon, big day long education conference in early August. So that's just a few weeks away, 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm taking something that I have delivered at 45 minutes and delivering it in 90. We are expanding it, we're going deeper. And this is because even though I came back from WEC having spoken across the leadership spectrum from judging a international university challenge for students to speaking confident communication for the rising leader. Oh my God, that content absolutely has my heart because you guys know that I don't know, am I still, I don't know, right on the edge of still being a shy communicator, but I was a shy communicator for my entire life, and this duality exists inside of me, a walking contradiction that I'm very gifted at communication, and at the same time, I'm like, don't look at me, I wanna hide, and I have been like that since I was in the 1st grade, stood up on the tables and said, "This is what you guys need to know," and then would promptly go and hide in my corner, and I still feel that today. So, speaking to the rising leaders, the shy communicators, I was like, finally, I'm going to focus. I am leaving WEC and I'm just going to do what I know and what everybody says is to have one main audience for all branding and awareness and growth purposes. And I can't seem to do that, but it makes sense that I'm being asked to speak to a spectrum from the students to the rising leaders, all the way up to senior leadership. And while the chapter told me that, yes, we really want to dive deep, we want something that speaks to all leaders, we want a breakout that goes with the early leaders, then we really want something to give these senior leaders this development because they feel like as members that educational professional development is lacking for leaders at the senior leadership level. And I actually love this. So let me know in the comments if this is something, if you're part of an organization or a company and you feel like your senior leaders, not just your early career professionals, but your senior leaders actually need some professional development that's not around AI, that's not around productivity, but well, it is seemingly not around productivity because our communication habits, this is what we'll be talking about today, our communication habits, our communication style, our communication delivery determines how people engage. And so, whether I am speaking to early career professionals or those in senior leadership, there's a through line that I continue to see, a common communication mistake that I'm seeing over and over and over again. And it is this: lean in, listen up. The biggest communication mistake that I'm seeing is that people are asking themselves before they speak, what do they need to know? What do I need to tell them? How can I explain this better? They're not asking, what human response do I want to create from opening my mouth? And you guys, there is a big difference in communication to inform and communication to transform. And that's what we're looking to do today. Because if you're frustrated with any of the top 4 complaints that I have heard through all of my research across the nation with global head of events from students to early career professionals to the CEO of our huge, big industry organizations, it is, how can I get people engaged? How can I get people motivated? How can I get people to stay loyal? How can I get people to be proactive? So when we start talking about symptoms, like I just mentioned, lack of engagement, lack of ownership, nobody seems to want to work. These are symptoms that seem like the problem that we need to solve. How can we solve low engagement? But the better question is, how can we understand what's driving low engagement? How can we uncover what's driving low engagement. And so, my specialty, my gift, despite who I'm speaking to, there are certain universal human truths that unite us all. And most of us, we've been raised in an era that valued information. Let's communicate information. With the internet, I'm the elder millennial that got to basically have new human rules for being human every 5 years of our lives throughout our whole life. We did, yes, get to see the information age with the internet, but my God, with AI, just the rapid pace of it growing, the best thing about AI is the pendulum swing back to humanity, back to emotionally intelligent leaders. So the better AI gets at delivering information, the better we need to get at being human, at eliciting human responses based on our communication behavior, on our communication style. So what do I mean by this? If you've been following me for any time, you know that back in my 20s, I was dealing with significant health challenges to the point of a crisis. It was my catalyst for traveling the world, selling everything I own, coming back home and having to build life again, and all of the frustrations maybe that came with leaping off to the edges of the earth and selling everything that I owned. And I did all of that because once my health came back, once I started feeling better than I'd ever felt in my life, 1 year from the worst of it, 1 year from going under the knife in an exploratory surgery to figure out if the lump that I had in my breast and didn't have insurance for was cancerous or not, a year from my gut biome, now I know my gut biome was so unbalanced that I had way more of the bad bacteria than the good bacteria. And that was just a what is the phrasing that I'm looking for? Can of worms. That was a can of worms because it made all of these different symptoms pop up: horrible adult acne, rapid hair loss, digestive distress, food intolerances. And every doctor I went to was trying to solve one problem on its own. I would go to a dermatologist and we would treat the skin, but the root problem lied in my gut biome. And when it was unbalanced, there was no kind of topical band aid solution that would fix the underlying root cause. And so I see this happen in organizations all the time right now, is that they're putting these band aid solutions on, like sending out engagement surveys or hiring culture consultants and spending a lot of money on reshaping a culture and then wondering why it's not moving the needle. And then my favorite, which is, I love the nuance, I love the yes and, that I love the layered conversation. It's like, okay, so we need to solve some of the problems that we're having. We need to get them more engaged. We need to get them more motivated and loyal and proactive. So the solution, because leaders are taught to come with solutions, leaders are taught to solve problems, be efficient and move on. So the leader comes and says, okay, to solve this problem, we need to communicate more. I say yes and. Yes, we need to communicate more, and we need to evaluate how we're communicating. It's not always about a volume of conversations, which, yes, it can help if you are having problems with any of the four complaints that we've listed. Great place to start is having more one on ones. Yes. But we all know all too well that we can have just an influx of these one-on-ones, and 6 months later an employee quits and we still feel blindsided. And this is because of how we were communicating. If that's happened to you, it's likely that the conversation was more informational based instead of human need based, human response based. So what I mean by this is that the symptom of lack of engagement that we're trying to solve may actually have the root, may actually have the actual constraint of, anybody know it? Anybody in the comments? Anybody in the comments? Fear of speaking up. Because if the leader has not created the psychological safety for this shy generation, and look, I love this. that the young professionals in the workplace, their generation is being dubbed the shy generation. I have so many tangents I could go on right now. Maybe that'll be next week's live stream. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Don't put me in a box. I have so much to say about this because I grew up so terribly shy. My nose was in a book all the time. I think that there are direct parallels with the neurological development of our environment, nose being in a book versus nose being on a phone, being that close up, being close to information, and then you get around people and it's like, people are scary, right? I have lived that. So, when we're trying to get different behaviors from this generation known as the shy generation, well, if we're not creating the psychological safety that one, they need, two, the people of the world need today, three, we need to be getting better. The more AI is better at information, we need to balance that out with humanity. All of these things aside, it's always great practice to understand how to deliver a message that elicits a certain response. And that is what I am all about. If you've been reading my material closely, you may see something that I'm posting about pretty lightly, but it is happening very deeply. And it is with an organization that I was engaged with in as a contractor. And there were 25 of us providing a service. I had just gotten my contract renewed for double the original amount. We're not talking small amount here, maybe for some people, couple tens of thousands of dollars. And apparently, that was built on hopes and dreams. To this day, I still don't know the details because of the way that the organization has been communicating over the last 5 weeks has been very cloak and dagger. Maybe my voice had a little bit of weight when I decided, as uncomfortable it is as it is to speak up, when I would much rather remain silent. I just booked this not San Antonio, St. Louis speaking gig where my first keynote, the opening keynote, is on confident communication, where I talk to everybody who's shy in speaking up and how to do that as an individual, a leader, and as an organization. So I felt like it was one of those times where I was being asked to put my money where my mouth was to live my message and speak up. And I did. And I can identify the communication shifts happening with these leaders in the organization before I spoke up and after I spoke up. There is an attempt to what? Communicate more. But what I'm not seeing is a shift in communicating in a way that creates the psychological safety that would actually help their organization get to the root of some of the problems instead of creating a PR nightmare and, quite frankly, ruining their reputation. This, they won't, I don't believe there's any way for them to come back from this. And the worst part is the potential to have been just life-changing, incredible for so many people and the ripple effect and our community as a whole. I was telling everybody, "You guys, I finally know why God brought me back to Cobb. I'm supposed to be here. This is why I'm supposed to be here, helping people to liberate their voices, communicate their value, and turn resistance into buy-in." There was so much more I wanted to do with this organization. I was championing them from rooftops, telling everyone everywhere I went how great they were and how they needed to be involved. And so, for leaders who are not creating the psychological safety, you're missing the whole gap of what's happening in conversations when you're not in the room. So, when you learn to shift your communication style so that other people feel safe raising concerns without being seen as a complainer, flagging issues before they snowball to the point that they've gotten where they've gotten because maybe nobody felt safe to speak up. So nobody got to the root cause. So everybody put a band aid on the solution until they woke up one day and said, "We don't have any money to pay our staff. We don't have any money to pay our contractors. We don't have any money to continue our program until the original end date. We don't have any money to continue the expense account for our founders. We don't have any money," because they were solving symptoms and putting band-aids on them. And maybe that was a little bit more transparent than I meant to be. I don't know why. There is no NDA not wanting to put this organization on blast. I guess it's just my heart and the caring for the people that I truly believe had their hearts in the right place. But at the end of the day, having your heart in the right place, your intention isn't going to necessarily match their interpretation. And so, in today's world, if you have a leadership need, like I need more people to engage, I need them to be motivated, I need them to be loyal, I need them to be proactive, because guess what? Turnover is a multi-million dollar problem. Not, it's $1 trillion problem if you put the industry together. Depending on your size of your organization, it is costing you $400,000 to $4 million annually. So if you can start developing a promote from within culture, a leadership development culture built for the constraints of today, you're going to be saving so much money because you're giving people, well, I'm jumping ahead now, but if you want to jump ahead, if you want to go right to what you need to ask, I have a chart in the what's the word? Not live stream, in the newsletter, LinkedIn and Substack. I've been doing the LinkedIn for a while, so I think a couple hundred of you guys are subscribed. Thank you. If you're watching and you prefer Substack, well, this will be my second Substack article. I just started last week, so you can go in, you can sit with it, you can see the chart that says, what's my leadership need? You can pick which one you want. You can then see next to it, what's the real human need driving this behavior? And then how can I reframe my response in order to speak or drive that behavior? And these are a lot of different words, but basically, guys, it's the same thing you've been hearing from me for the last year: how to turn resistance into buy-in. Whether you are an early career professional and you don't feel like you're being taken seriously and you have imposter syndrome and comparisonitis and you just don't feel comfortable speaking up, this will help you communicate your value and turn their resistance into buy-in, their resistance, their preconceived notions that, well, when I was 23, I wasn't nearly as responsible as them. So there's no way they can be responsible because I wasn't. That's their resistance. Or if you're on the other side of the leadership divide, senior leaders, you can see which complaint, I'm calling it, you want to solve and how you can rephrase your question to get them to open up. And I'll leave you with one last example I think we can all relate to. If you've ever been in a relationship, I know there's even a sitcom that did a show about this years and years ago, Modern Family, if anybody ever watched that back in the day in the 2010s. Oh, life was so simple back then. In the 2010s, and I remember seeing and being like, "Oh my god, I'm not crazy. Yes, this is a thing." If you've ever been in a relationship and you've told your significant other about this great new thing that they need to do and you're all about it, you're all about it, and then one day, not having taken your suggestion at all, they come home and they tell you about how a work friend or a neighbor or somebody else told them about this great thing you're excited to try. And you're like, am I taking crazy pills? This is what I've been saying. They can't hear it from you, but they can hear it from somebody else. If you have children, teenagers probably, maybe if you have a cool aunt or uncle that delivers the message, they'll listen to it, but they won't listen to mom and dad. All of these types of relationship conversations translate to the workplace as well. Humans communicate in relationships with certain universal parallel themes. So if you want to get your teams, your employees, your potential employees, your top recruits, the top talent out there to let go of the preconceived notions that prevent them from listening to you, for taking action on engagement, motivation, contribution, and proactive loyalty, this article is going to show you how. So I'm not giving it all away today. You got to click, you got to read because there's a nice chart and it is a better experience for you guys. So happy to have a little bit of time. I hope that I'm going to be regular again, posting every Friday or Monday until at least August when I go to my next great event. And again, let me know in the comments, do you see this come up? Do you know what I'm talking about? Are you part of an organization where you're early career professionals need help having the confidence to speak up? Are you part of an organization where your senior leaders are like, we need more professional development? Or are you part of an organization that has both? Because try as I might, I can't seem to not be the spokesperson that speaks across leadership levels, as difficult as it can be for me a little bit to figure out how to market all of that. It makes total sense when we get down to the root of it because I am the spokesperson that helps articulate what most people miss. I am all about nuances, layered communication, and small, simple shifts that open big doors. Again, my name is Christy. I help you communicate your value and turn resistance into buy in, and I will see you next week. Bye.